Good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, my group, this way. So the assignment, even though it says Pessac-Léognan, the assignment was invention of Pessac-Léognan. And actually, I misread it, and initially I thought it was creation of Pessac-Léognan. And I was going to start off with this great lightning flash and creation, well, you know, and wake everybody up, but that was whatever. We'll stick with invention. So one of the most recent Bordeaux appellations, with a lot of thanks to Jane Anson. I did a lot of work looking for books, articles, YouTube videos, TED Talks. There's almost nothing out there on Pessac-Léognan. So one of the most recent Bordeaux appellations, let's start there, with the French concept of appellation. It will help explain the invention of Pessac-Léognan. When a product comes from one specific area, any product, when a product comes from one specific area, it is the uniqueness of the place due to its terroir that gives the wine or other agricultural product its special character, style, and identity. I'll come back to that. In the US, we refer to Cabernet. What's that? I mean, it's so broad, it's so generic, it's so non-specific. In Bordeaux, a similar wine, predominantly with Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, grapes, is identified by its place name, Bordeaux. This is one of the first introductions you can give to someone who's not like the people in this room who get that. You talk to somebody you work with and they say Cabernet, they think, great, you know, what's Bordeaux? They don't know there's any similarity. So it's identified by the place name, Bordeaux. Within Bordeaux, there are many places with unique typicity of presentation of flavors that set them apart and are worth designating and knowing. Pessac-Léognan is a clear example of one of those. And it's one of the most recent to be legally recognized. An important part of the distinction and what happened is between the northern and southern parts of Grave. Now, I was interested a bit earlier today to learn that Liber-Pater is in Grave. In fact, it's about as far south in Grave as you can get. It's down near Sauternes. And I'm going to be talking not about the period of time when Liber-Pater was created, but back historically, when there was a competition, if you will, between northern and southern Grave. So, Grave, gravelly land. It's an important subregion of the Bordeaux wine region. It's situated on the left bank of the Garonne River, in the upstream part of the region, southeast of the city of Bordeaux, and stretches over 50 kilometers. The name Grave derives from its intensely gravelly soil. The soil is the result of glaciers from the Ice Age, which also left white quartz deposits and can still be found in the soil of some of the top winemaking estates. As the Romans cleared the forests around the city of Bordeaux, they pressed south into Grave. First, obviously, the northern part of Grave. They planted grapes, they made wine. They knew the great quality of wine that could be made from the vineyards in Grave. And one of the things we heard about Liber-Pater, one of the slides we saw earlier today, it mentioned the 12th century wine history. Actually, the Romans were there even before that. According to Robert Parker in his Bordeaux 4th edition, I'm going to quote just a little bit from Parker because of the dates that he uses. It was the wines of Grave that were the first Bordeaux wines to be made and exported. Barrels of Grave wine were shipped to England during the English reign over this region of France between 1152 and 1453. Now, recall that Bordeaux was part of the Aquitaine, and Eleanor, Duchess of Aquitaine, eventually married Henry Plantagenet, the Duke of Normandy. That was in 1150. So Parker picks up in 1152 with these wines being exported to England. She became Queen of England in 1152, and the Aquitaine was owned by England until the end of the 100 Years' War in 1453. Those are Parker's two dates for Grave and the wines being exported to England during the reign of England in the Aquitaine and in Bordeaux. Adding to the fame of this area, and what's interesting in reading up on this and researching Pessac-Léognan, there are so many interesting quotes and anecdotes that many of us know. For instance, about Pape Clément. Look at so Pape Clément started harvesting grapes and making wines in 1252. It was owned by the Bishop of Bordeaux, Bernard de Goth, and he became Pope in 1305. He was named Clement V. And that gave the new name Chateau Pape Clément to this wine. It's in Pessac-Léognan. So you're going back to 1300 roughly with the fame of this area of Grave, this fame of this area of Bordeaux being basically worldwide for all the known world, with the Pope having come from there. In 1663, and again, another one of those quotes, we all kind of, we know of the reference to O'Brien. And you know, what the heck is O'Brien? And we all know it's Haut-Brion. And Samuel Pepys wrote of O'Brien, bringing even greater recognition to this area. And there I drank a sort of French wine called O'Brien that hath a good and most particular taste I never met with. It's just a great, it's a great old quote that brings fame to this area. This area also had recognition in 1787 and 1855. When Thomas Jefferson was the United States Minister to France, he took his famous tour through Burgundy, through the south of France, and Bordeaux. His notes survive. They're in the Library of Congress, and they show his list of what he thought were the top 4 wines. Then in 1855, without any benefit of Wikipedia or the internet or social media or Google, the Bordeaux classification was created at the request of Napoleon for the International Exposition in Paris, and listed the same 4 wines at the top in a class by themselves. Now, the thing to note, one of the 4 of them on each list was, the rest were, 3 were in the Medoc, 1 was not. 1 was in Grave, in Talence, within the city limits of the city of Bordeaux. And we're going to have a La Mission Haut-Brion, 2 La Mission Haut-Brions with our dinner tonight. In 1953, skipping ahead a little bit, the Grave region was classified. The wines of the Grave region were classified. And again in 1959, all of the estates in Grave asked to be considered. But the classification awarded the top title to 14 properties, all of which were in the northern part of Grave. By this point, it had become clear there was a difference between the northern part of Grave and the southern part of Grave. It's interesting, the numbers were skewed so dramatically. The southern part of Grave had almost 500 properties, 500 winemakers, and there were only 55 in the northern part. In addition to the hundreds years earlier historical events I've mentioned favoring the north, geography was also on the side of the north. It had a microclimate due to its close proximity to the city of Bordeaux, facilitating earlier harvest, and in part based on its particular gravels, slopes, and natural streams, all of which help with drainage. There was also a bit of personal intrigue. In the spring of 1964, one of the owners of a major estate in southern Grave was quite upset and made some very unhappy comments about the northern Grave properties, and this led to the creation of a new wine syndicate called Haute Grave. Other distinctions that are that the southern Grave owners frequently farmed many other crops, while those in the north planted mostly vineyards, which gave them a financial advantage. So you've got geography, economics, history, and now personality, separating the north from the south, leading to the invention of Grave. Personality. That would be André Lerton. The man who eventually made the biggest difference in the creation of Pessac-Léognan was André Lerton, following his purchase of Château La Louvière in 1965. So take a look at the label in 1967. You don't see Pessac-Léognan. You see Grave-Léognan. There was an intense campaign with negotiations back and forth and attempts to reach various compromises to satisfy the interests of the South and the North. So you can hear a premonition of things to come, a little foreshadowing and recognition of the reasons underlying the split between southern and northern Grave in the 1982 book, Bordeaux, by David Peppercorn. Discussing Grave generally, before delving into specific communes, he wrote, quote, "The best Grave, both red and white, are produced in 6 communes which lie close to Bordeaux out of the 37 which today make wines in the appellation Grave." So he's focused on closeness to the northern part. September 9, 1987. Ultimately, no compromise could be reached and a new appellation had to be created, Pessac-Léognan. It included 10 communes, and they're listed there, including, obviously, Pessac and Léognan. So let's real quick have a little fun. You all know a lot of this. I've gone over a lot of it, but these are the kind of things that I've been told show up on Master of Wine tests and quizzes. So, what is the name of the most recently one of the most recently created Bordeaux appellations before Côte? Pessac-Léognan. Extra credit. When was it created? 1987. Which Bordeaux appellation produces only 80% red wine and a full 20% blanc? Pessac-Léognan. I've been told that's on one of the exams by someone who took it recently. Which Bordeaux appellation, and this is unique, which Bordeaux appellation has vineyards inside a city? Pessac-Léognan. Extra credit, name the city. Bordeaux. Thank you. Name the only appellation outside the Medoc to have a chateau classified in the 1855 classification. Pessac-Léognan. Extra credit, name the chateau. Aubryon. There we go. Okay. So when I started this, I was focused. I was about to stop here. Got a little bit more because the title of this talk in the program took out the words "invention of," and so to go to just to look at it. You've got this area south of the city of Bordeaux, south of the airport, and you come down and you can see where they are, and it cuts across the northern part of Grave. But also, I decided to add, I was in contact with the president of the Pessac-Léognan appellation, and he sent me some newspaper clips from the time it was created. And I believe that's Andre Lerton on the right. And also, he sent me clips from a celebration, the 30th anniversary celebration, and you can see Andre Lerton, you can see our friend Jean-Michel Caz with Prince Albert of Monaco, celebrating Pessac-Léognan. In San Francisco, in the chapter there, we've had a series of commune tastings, which many of you know about. You'll hear more about them tomorrow. This is the summary of the Pessac-Léognan typicity or taste profile of our tasting there. And the descriptors: earth, smoke, tobacco, coffee or tea, iron, and mineral. That's one of my favorites for Pessac-Léognan. I get a lot of mineral there. Fruit, when mentioned, leaned toward red berries and currants. So far, this was the commune where the wine's fine-grained texture and structured aesthetic made the greatest impression. Their, quote, prominent cheekbones, one of our members said that, reminded one taster of Meryl Streep and another of Diana Vreeland. The wines, while perhaps not classically beautiful, had personality and seemed somewhat intellectual to several tasters, just inching past the 2012 Pape Clément by a vote of 8-7. The 2015 Domaine de Chevalier won for typicity and will represent, and did represent, Pessac-Léognan at our 8th and final tasting. Note that its more complex and developed stablemate, the 2004 Domaine de Chevalier, won the preference vote. So we actually had people voting for typicity while at the same time having their favorite wine as part of a different vote. Some of our friends there, and we're going to have many of these wines with dinner, I found, but these are the names that just trip off the tongue. That if you don't know they're in Pessac-Léognan, you don't get that little circle, that little geographic area. But these are all there. Many of us know the owners. Many of us have been to those vineyards. And these are just fabulous wines, red and white. There's so much history there, and it's that little area, Pessac-Léognan. So and with dinner, we're having the Domaine de Chevalier Blanc, 2013, the Smith-Haute Lafite, 2014 Blanc. We're having La Mission Haute-Brion. I figured Haute-Brion was good enough to cover it and La Mission. We're having La Mission Haute-Brion 99 and 04. We're having Pape Clément 06, Haute-Bailly 2006, a little horizontal there. And we're having the Domaine de Chevalier 2000 and the Chateau Smith-Haute Lafite 2000. So we're having a real... Is that enough for us? Barely. Depends on the quantity of each. Finally, in a recent speech, the current president of the Pessac-Léognan AOC, Grave, AOC gave credit for the invention of this, at that time, the newest Bordeaux appellation, stating that, quote, I do refer to Andre Lerton first, but also to Jacques Marly, Jean Cressman, Jean Bouquier, and the strong and committed wine growers who took their own destiny in hand, not to forget the Chateau Haute-Brion's owners who accompanied and helped with great elegance our appellation's evolution. And so now we come full circle to the very definition of an AOC appellation. It was their work that led to this product that comes from one specific area, the northern part of Grave, being recognized for the uniqueness of the place due to its terroir that gives this wine its special character, style, and identity. And we have the Pessac-Léognan symbol that you will see over and over and over and recognize on the labels. Thank you very much.